All right, Daniel, cycling, is it a fad or is it the new modern trend of training? There's a lot of, what I would say the middle classization of running and just the general influence of cycling, Ironman, triathlon, and just the more data and information age, and also the ability to add extra training on the bike either can be a time saving focus for people potentially, and also just there's only so much some people can run, and depending on where they're at in their running journey, can add different layers. So quick yes or no, fad or a trend? Do you think a new
Instagram trend? Yeah, no, it's popular on Instagram now, but it does seem to work. Yeah, I think it's good for training. I think people can do it.
Yeah, and obviously, just briefly again, Danny, you've run a sub 65 half marathon. You've kind of gotten into the cycling game. You were in the Ross there briefly, crashing with a bad accident, but you're safe and sound.
Yeah.
But you've got good experience now, more than just, we're not just saying we're hopping the bike. We've seen a few things and we're making it up.
No.
You've gotten into the kind of the upper end of domestic cycling in Ireland, and so look, next stage is like, and you've been implementing it with Sean Tobin, and it has been effective. So there's a couple of different ways, but let's just start off with the how and the why of the cycling, and where can we go with it?
Yeah, so I think definitely it's something for extra volume. For someone like Sean, who's obviously more on the elite end, you're still keeping similar like high volume running in, but adding in extra cycling, and doing that more for easy and for threshold. For others, it might just be more thinking about how much can I do running wise without getting injured. If I have injury history, is the bike a better option for that? And then it might be less, time consuming in the sense that if you want to do, say a 50-minute cycle, and you have access to like a stationary bike, it's perfect for that. And it's obviously maybe for older people, like less in the joints, a bit easier. So yeah, that's one thing. And then adding like extra threshold volume in, it's a good way to do that as well.
Yeah, so we see stuff about double threshold. We see about like, adding extra volume. So if people run twice a day, or they might only have time, you could have a stationary bike or a roller, or else obviously there's people who have the scope to go outside. But what are we talking about here? Maybe doing on one level an extra hour on the bicycle, and maybe doing the tempo work on it, or extra tempo work on the bike.
Yeah, I think it depends for people. So for some, like a lot of people like the bike and think it's attractive because you get to be out in the open air, especially on a good day. Like say you want to get, you've done maybe an hour run and you want to get a bit more volume in without kind of, damaging the body too much. You can go out for an extra hour on the bike if it's a good day, kind of enjoy it and you're comfortable out on the roads. I think it's great for that. And again, you're just basically getting in more volume, training the heart a bit more, training your cardiovascular system a bit more, and that's no harm as well.
Yeah, and is there an aspect of, if you have, I was just asking you, what's the price of if you have a bicycle, don't necessarily want to go outside, or you don't have time, whether you have kids, you're kind of working on the job, you can still kind of be tapping away at something there on a Teams meeting or whatever. People who pretend to work, I just don't work. So a roller, how much can you get a roller for, if you have any type of bicycle for start?
Relatively inexpensive. Like cycling is definitely a middle to upper class sport. It can be expensive for the bikes, but for most people you can get a roller in Halfords, again, like less than the price of a super shoe these days. Like, so and it's a worthwhile investment. It's going to last longer.
So €100,
100 to 200 euro. It's not too bad. And then obviously you can go more expensive, but for most that would be fine if you have a bike.
You can probably get a stationary bike for maybe 100, 200 euro as well on Dundee or something as well. So that's kind of the ability to stay inside and keep an eye on kids or whatever else you have to do, or even nearly have something like that potentially even in the office or on the job somewhere to be able to get in and out. So you've given the example road or indoor. Then also it's kind of a good tool for people building up volume. So like if you're doing 100k a week, or you're trying to build up to 100k a week, or maybe that's your limit and you want to do more, this is a way of getting in the extras.
Exactly. And it is getting it in, and it's definitely less hard on the body, and there's definitely ways you can play around with it. If you're on an indoor trainer, get a bit more heat adaptation as well. We had the hot weather there and a lot of people struggled with it. You know, if you're used to kind of cycling indoors, it can be warm, so that obviously helps as well.
Yeah, the sweat, and it also shown that the heat training is also for blood plasma. And look, it's getting hotter and hotter. Even Yannick Sinner there is collapsing heat stroke. So there's definitely a new element of having to adapt to warmer climates and being under pressure in the heat. So you have that training aspect as well. And you had mentioned to me as well that the biking can even add a little bit of leg strength.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I found myself, like, my quad strength's gotten lots better, and I think overall, I think I've actually just gotten stronger physically in the last 2 years, based off of, like, when I come back and do a bit more running, I feel like a bit stronger. My body feels a bit, you know, better for it. And then overall, I think it's not complicated. I think it's on Instagram. It's easy to make it look like all cool and you need all expensive gear. You don't need all that type of stuff.
Yeah, you have like, running is complicated enough in terms of phraseology and terminology. So, you know, we've got FTP, we've got watts, we've got things. So they're, you know, what are the, I suppose, on that line, what are maybe the semi drawbacks of any, you know, there's positives and negatives to running, positives and negatives to cycling. What are any drawbacks? Is it kind of a hip position, and then maybe, you know, getting your head around more gobbledygook as well?
Yeah, exactly. It can be complicated with watts, FTP, watts per kilo, all that type of stuff. It's just basically, like, I would say, having a good position on the bike, making sure that it's not bad for your back if you have any issues with that, hip position, all that type of stuff. And then just treating it for what it is. Like, basically, you're just getting extra volume and you're training the heart. If you have a heart rate monitor, using that, because you know it might be a bit lower than what your running is, so you can kind of, you know, train a bit higher with the heart rate and get a bit more of an effort in on that. And then just using it for that, really.
And a bit of variety as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, changing training up. It's good to keep a mental stimulus a bit different. If it kind of gets your running improved, then why not? And then just obviously viewing it as it's an extra. It's not, you don't need to do it, but it is a nice extra to have.
Yeah, and also it's a good way of trying to keep training if you have an injury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.